Seeing no objections, it'll be the action of the committee to approve the recommendations of the CAO. Do we have any cards?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have cards on items 1 through 7 and also general public comment.
Okay. That being the case, we'll go ahead and, without objection, reconsider item number 6, which would have been a consent item, but for Mr. Spindler's request to speak. So, Mr. Spindler, 5 minutes on all items, please.
It's good. Again, thank you to all the lawyers. Thank you for suing the city. Scumbags running the city. This is the only way you get justice. Can't vote for representatives, so you have to sue for representation. And we have many things here today. Many things. Well, one of the things we have is another $2.1 million of wasted money on these so-called conflict panel lawyers. We don't need that. Because every time you get sued by these attorneys, you're guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. You should concede liability. Concede liability and move to arbitrate the damage claims. You could save 30, 40 million on legal fees by that alone. But what you do, and I know they're laughing in the back there because it is fucking funny, is that you try to hoodwink these lawyers into motions to dismiss summary judgment motions. Rule 56. You can't win a Rule 56 unless all of the facts as presumed by the moving party are found to be as if they're true as factually correct. It's a triable question of fact, but you keep filing for summary judgment. I look at these cases over in Pacer. Pacer, motion for summary judgment. State court on Commonwealth Avenue with DWP. Motions for summary judgment. Denied. Motion for trial counsel, substitution of counsel denied. And you're spending all this money, but you're not paying the fucking victims. Who do you represent here? You don't represent the people. You represent somebody else. You're not even representing the special interest. You don't even have enough sense to know what you're doing. You're just walking around with bottles of water in your hand, texting your fucking people. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You don't even know what's going on. You don't even know what I'm talking about, what this agenda's about. You're wasting money on stupid shit. This is stupid. This is why it's costing so much money. Every year you're going to have a budget and finance final panel review of how much money we're spending on outside counsel. 30, 40, 50 million dollars on outside counsel. Isn't Mike Feuer a lawyer? Doesn't Mike Feuer know what to do with 600 lawyers? No, he's busy enforcing what? Enforcing traffic violations, misdemeanor arraignments, stupid shit. Meanwhile, this is going on, and then it comes time to settle. You have to finally settle, because in the end, you know the police department of our city's out of control. You know they're murderers. You got people raping women, cops raping women, DNA test 25 years later, because you don't order every member of the LAPD to have a DNA test in a database, which would severely limit a lot of these lawsuits, good and bad, for the city. But you're looking at each other, looking up in the sky, looking at your emails, looking at your phones, drinking water, and not paying attention to the only person in the room that knows this is a fucking sick joke. The rest of these people are here to collect. They've got a bag in their hands, and the cash is going in the bag. Money for tree trimming in those bags. Money for street improvements in those bags. Money to fix sewers in those money bags. It's going to the lawyers. 30–40% of it. 60% of it left for the plaintiff. If it's not designated for personal injury loss, they get a 1099, and then they have to pay personal taxes on 60%. In the end, they get 15% of 100%. That makes no fucking sense. Makes no sense. So do something about this. Do something about this now. And if you can't resign, get out of those chairs and resign. And let's have 15 elections. 15 Donald Trumps and Bernie Sanders on our council would really do a good job. We need to shake this shit up. Too many of you guys don't know what you're doing. You've never held a real job. You've never made a payroll. You've never done anything in this world worth noting.
All right, thank you. That, just for the record, Mr. Spindler spoke on items 1 through 7 and general public comment. Public comment on items 1 through 7 is now closed. Members, I previously proposed item number 6 as a consent item. If there's still no objection, that the CAO's recommendations are approved. Item number 7 has already been heard both by Entertainment and Facilities and Personnel and Animal Welfare Committees, and both of those committees have taken action. I would like to recommend our action on that item, members, and what I would suggest is that we approve the CAO's recommendations in its February 29th, 2016 report to 1, instruct the Bureau of Contract Administration, the Office of the City Attorney, and the City Administrative Officer to continue to work together to assess the resource requirements of the Office of Wage Standards for implementation of the citywide minimum wage. 2, concur with the Bureau's proposal to implement the minimum wage through a thoughtful, incremental approach that will respond to workload as it materializes and through the use of city staff, contractors, community-based organizations, and existing mailing processes of all city departments to conduct outreach. 3, change the name of the Wage Enforcement Division to the Office of Wage Standards. 4, instruct the Bureau of Contract Administration to consult with relevant stakeholders regarding the implementation process. And 5, note and file the Bureau of Contract Administration's reports, as no resources are required this year, and future year resources will be discussed during the annual budget process. And if there's no objection, I don't think we need to hear that matter any further if there's no objection. So without objection, with those recommendations, that will be the action of the committee, please. All right, and that takes us to closed session. So we will, is there a preference as to priority on the items? Okay.